Hello and welcome everyone to, which week is this? I think this is the 32nd week of a course in miracles. I'm so excited to see everyone. Tonight's lesson 32 is I have invented the world I see. And this builds on last week when we talked about I'm not a victim of the world I see. So we established that we're not victims of the world we see. And now we have invented the world that we see through our thoughts, through our speech, through our actions. So let's get started, y'all. I'm so excited about tonight. It's gonna be a little bit different. We gotta keep it moving, gotta keep it changing. So I wanted to highlight this evening's lesson with a quote from A Course in Miracles. The quote is found on page 89, and the quote says, "God weeps at the sacrifice of his children who believe they are lost to him." God weeps at the sacrifice of his children who believe they are lost to him. So tonight's message is going to come in the form of a story. So if everybody can mute themselves, I would like to relay this story. This story actually came to me from God while I was preparing this week's session, this week's lesson. And it's very similar to a story in the Bible, but very different as well. So, and the lessons tonight, guys, are within the story. The lessons are within the story. So here it goes. Once upon a time, there was a king and a queen. The king and queen had mastered the arts of creation as enlightened beings, and the land flourished under their love and leadership. The king and queen had a beautiful son named David, who they loved dearly. And he grew up healthy and happy without a worry in the world. Growing up, David loved water. He was fearless, and he had always had a thirst for adventure. One of the places David dreamed of exploring was an ocean called Ocean Paradise. Ocean Paradise, which means tested, was known to be the most turbulent and unpredictable oceans in the land. Only the most courageous souls dare to challenge its waves. David had heard of Ocean Paradise all of his life, and he often tried to grasp the thrill of it in his imagination. But David yearned to feel the power of the tides himself. So on his 21st birthday, David decided he would go. He hugged his father and he kissed his mother and promised them he would return home soon. During his excursion, David decided to brave the highest cliff and dive down into the ocean from that cliff. And in the midst of his plunge, David went into a deep state of amnesia and completely forgot who he was and where he lived. In his forgetfulness, David traveled far and wide and explored all aspects of life. He found that he was exceptional in many areas and had many gifts he had inherited from his parents. David was successful in business and sports, and music. He found each venture thrilling, but the shine and the appeal of each of his pursuits would eventually wear off over time. And he began to yearn for home, wherever that was. Unbeknownst to David, the king and the queen had been waiting for him to return home to them and began sending word throughout the community to look for him and implore him to return home. Finally, after several years, many months, and numerous moments of waiting for David, the queen, who understood that she was not a body, decided to transition to the unseen realm in order to reach her son. But David was so wrapped up in the distractions of life, he did not recognize her nudgings. Over the years during his travels, David had heard of a wise shaman who was known to communicate with spirit. And David thought, maybe this woman could point him in the direction of his origins. So he decided to go see her. David said farewell to all his friends he had acquired over the years and promised to keep in touch, that he was going to see this shaman in order to get some answers and hopefully journey home. They all wished him well. The track to the shaman's residence was a journey. She lived away from the city, among the trees, deep within the recesses of nature. David walked along stunning trails and springs of water until finally he saw a charming house up ahead with vibrant flowers all around it. David was surprised to see the shaman's house was quite modern and well kept. He rang the doorbell, and a beautiful young woman who looked about his age opened the door. David asked her if he could speak with the wise woman of the house, at which she responded, I am the one you seek. Please come in. I have been expecting you. David was astonished to find the shaman to be so young. He had always had this image in his mind of her to be an old, wrinkly, feeble woman. And he shared this with the shaman. And she said that many people have that same perception and that this is something called social conditioning. David did not understand what the shaman meant. So she explained that due to social norms, religion, and mainly storytelling throughout the years, people have been led to believe that one has to sacrifice comfort, beauty, and even youth for spirituality. This belief, she said, is not true. David then asked her, how can she be so wise but so young? At which the shaman let him know that wisdom does not come from time, but from experience. She also added that she was not as young in years as she looked. David asked her what was her secret to retaining her youth, and the shaman leaned forward and told David, love every part of your being. Reject nothing about yourself. She told him, if you recognize thoughts, words, and actions you have done that does not serve you and others, simply discontinue those creations and invest in the thoughts, words, and deeds that does serve you and others. She told David, love every hair on your head, every cell in your body, every part of you that makes you you. Respect and honor yourself and others as God's creations, and you too will preserve your beauty. It is only your belief in death that makes it real for you. Love is the most powerful force of influence. There is nothing greater than love. David absorbed all she had said and knew in his heart that it was true. She continued by telling David that his mother, the queen, had come to her in a dream. She said, "Your mother transitioned to the spirit world and told me that she would be guiding you to come to me so that you may wake up and go home. Your father has been waiting for you." The shaman then placed a crystal around David's neck that had been programmed to his energy. She told David, "This crystal comes from the planet of which your mother is connected, and it will serve as a compass and lead you home. For in your amnesia, you have ventured far and wide." The shaman implored David to go home without delay. She told David, "Your father misses you very much, and his heart feels as a ton of bricks in his chest at the thought that you are forever lost to him." David was delighted to hear this and was so excited to know that he had a mother who had come to the shaman out of her love for him and a father who loved him just as much. David then asked the shaman if she had ever met his father, the king. The shaman lit up at David's question and exclaimed, "Oh, yes, yes. I have known your father for many, many years, and there is none other that is more generous, more loving, and more powerful than your father. He is the most wise and gentle king in his kingdom." Uh, she says, "And his people are most fortunate to have him indeed." She said, "But you are far away from home, so you must follow the guidance of your mother and the direction of your crystal and start your voyage back home. When you get there, you will remember everything." David was astounded that he had gone so far and asked the woman, "Where am I now?" The shaman told him, "Nescience. You are in Nescience." David repeated the word. It sounded so foreign, so different than his native tongue. After recognizing his confusion, the shaman added, "It means ignorance. David, you are in the land of the unknown." David thanked the shaman and paid her for her time, for David understood that balance of giving and receiving was an important part of creation. David then bought a horse and immediately started on his way back home, following the guidance of his mother through his intuition and the crystal he was given. Throughout his voyage back home, when David became exhausted on his trip, he would stop by towns along the way for rest. David was excited and nervous at the same time. How would his father respond to him? Would he be angry at David for traveling so far away? The shaman had said good things about his father's character, but surely he would be disappointed in David for losing his way for so long. While visiting one of the towns, David stopped at a diner and began asking the locals if they had known his father, the king. One of the townspeople, a respected bookkeeper, overheard David's inquiry and exclaimed, "Yes, yes, I have heard of your father. I heard that he is a generous man with many riches, but woe to anyone who crosses him. He has a prison in his kingdom for those who do wrong, and they are tortured until their death." David was shocked to hear this. Could this be true? How could his father be so cruel as to torture people for their entire lives? David asked the man, "How do you know this information? Did you meet the king yourself?" The bookkeeper said, No, not quite. You see, my uncle told me this truth. And David responded, oh, wow. So your uncle has met the king, of which the bookkeeper replied, well, not exactly. A friend of my uncle told him he had heard this. So David then said, so your uncle's friend knew my father. He visited the kingdom and spent time with the king. After this, the man began to shrink back from the assertions he had made with so much conviction. I think my uncle's friend may have been told by someone else, he said flatly. David was disturbed to hear such things. Why would the shaman encourage him to go to such an unforgiving person? She had spoken so highly of the king. How can the account of the shaman and the bookkeeper be so different? David was truly confused. Later on in the days and weeks of his journey, David continued to ask people along the way and continued to receive conflicting information. From some, he was told that his father was the most loving person the land had ever known. Others expressed that his father was a jealous man and wanted people to behave in a very specific way. And if they did things outside of those parameters, there would be incredible consequences to pay. He even witnessed people arguing about the subject, but he noticed that people rarely relayed an opinion based on personal experience with his father. Most only referenced what others had told them. So David decided to stop inquiring about the character of his father and began to wonder if anybody really knew the truth about the king. As he continued to travel home, he noticed that the new information he had been given impacted the speed of which he traveled. Some days he moved with diligence and motivation. Other days greeted him with heaviness and resistance. But David kept the words of the shaman in his heart, and he had begun the practice of listening to his own intuition. So he continued on his journey home. Finally, with the help of the crystal and his mother guiding him, David reached the kingdom. As he saw his native land, the warmth of his hometown began to flood his mind with wonderful memories of his childhood. David was overwhelmed with gratitude to see all the familiar faces and heartfelt hugs. He remembered, as the shaman had told him he would, and all the anxiety and fear he had held about meeting his father quickly dissipated. His father held him tight with eyes wet with joy that his son was finally home. And his mother embraced him as well and filled his faces with kisses as she was able to create a new body, the same as before. The king and the queen prepared a feast to celebrate the return of their son. And David shared his exploits with everyone in laughter. David then decided that he would go out and teach everyone in the land of the true character of his father and invite all that are near and far to meet the king and queen and experience their love and generosity firsthand. He encouraged them all to see for themselves that there is nothing to fear but fear itself. So, in the same way, what happened to David in this story has happened to every last one of us. We have all decided to come into this realm of forgetfulness. And since birth, we have all been given information about the character of God. We have received this information from people we respected, But many times what they tell us about God may not have been completely accurate. They imparted information to us that was told to them by others, and so on and so forth. And because some of this information has been scary and fear-based, we have all created filters that color our experience of God. The word God itself, the conditioned experience of that word God through religion and through our upbringing has created distance in us from experiencing the fullness of God's love. Some of us have even been hurt by others while they use the name of God. So that word for some of us is triggering. Some of us have been hurt by others using the name Jesus as well, which is why Jesus channels through beings and had them write books such as Jesus, My Autobiography, so that he can tell his own story in his own words. I would like to express to you that the word God is just a collection of symbols to communicate an idea. It does not define the energy and the essence of our true source. Whoever those people were talking about when they hurt us, that energy was not our true God. That was somebody else they were referencing. I invite us all to experience our true creator without the filters we have built over time. So my question to us all is, are we truly allowing ourselves to experience our source authentically? Or do we trust God only so much so that we won't be disappointed? Are we allowing God to be our best friend? Even the concept that God is male or female, or even that God is the God of only human beings, is not completely accurate. God is the all of it, the source of all creation. There are many beings within our universe. Many of them do not look like us, though they share space with us in this universe. We just do not see them with the natural eye, but it doesn't mean that they are not there. Now is the time, everyone, to expand our minds beyond the collective conditioning that we have been a part of. God is expansive. Let's not put our source in our own boxes. We have engaged in this conditioning process, not God. I would like everyone to start exploring the presence of extraterrestrial beings. Begin opening yourselves up to the possibility of extraterrestrial contact. Extraterrestrials are wanting to make contact with us. Higher vibrational extraterrestrial beings who are for the love, light, and spiritual evolution of humanity would like to make contact with us. If this statement stirs up fear in you, then I would like for everyone to sit down and investigate why fear comes up. Has it been the conditioning? Has it been the movies? Has it been the narrative that has been painted that extraterrestrial beings are somebody to be afraid of or something to be afraid of? I encourage everyone to begin looking up credible sources of information on the subject. Stay away from any fear-based documentaries If it starts to make you feel afraid, turn it off. Some credible documentaries can be found on Gaia TV, which is a streaming service like Netflix, but the content is like all things spiritual, but you don't have to get Gaia TV. There are documentaries on other streaming services as well. One documentary in particular is called Unacknowledged. And this is on Netflix, it's on Hulu and the others. Information on ETs are becoming more and more widely available. The presence of ETs, it's more and more harder to hide, for folks to hide from us. Many years this has been hidden from us, but we're now entering into a vibration that is allowing space for higher vibrational beings to contact us. So I want us to get comfortable with that idea, because I'm very excited to announce that we will have someone joining us in the fall, who channels a beautiful, the sweetest, kindest, most gentle being I have ever been exposed to. She channels an extraterrestrial being, and I had a session with her, of course, because anybody giving out sessions, I'm taking them. And it just was beautiful. It was beautiful, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more in future sessions. Please begin to look into this at your leisure, as we will be delving deeper into this topic in the upcoming weeks. So let's redefine what God means to us personally. God is actually the undefinable, right? As we know. But the most accurate definition of God I have seen in the Bible is 1 John 4:8, where it says, "But anyone who does not love does not know God, for God is love." So God is defined as love. And any other representations that are lower than that are wholly inaccurate. I asked God, how do I recognize your voice? And God told me, do not focus on my voice. Focus on the feeling you get when you perceive me. Jehovah is the highest feeling, the warmest place. Yahweh is the quiet reassurance that everything will be okay, no matter how stressful your situation is. Elohim is the promise of every new moment, every new opportunity to start over and create something new. Anything that has ever been said or done in the name of Jehovah Jireh that has not love has been said and done in error. The I am is a forever present, forever involved, and forever invested in us always. She experiences the universe within us. He is the source of all life. So call this incredible energy of love whatever you wish. Create a new name, generate new symbols if you need, in order to tear away the filters and the conditioning that keeps us from the face of our Creator. How can we interact with God in an unconditioned way? Talk to God as you would your friend, your neighbor, your mother, your father, because when you talk to your friend, your neighbor, your mother, your father, you are talking to God. Write God a poem, or just ask yourself, every time I talk to God, do I have to go on my knees, or do I just talk to him throughout the day? Do I greet her anytime? I personally, when I wake up in the morning, I ask God, what you doing? What you doing? That sound crazy. God know I'm crazy, right? So God created us all. Do not limit your experience of this source of love that makes me smile every time I think about him, every time I think about her. Let's allow ourselves to experience our source in any way we can. So that is my lesson tonight, y'all. Are there any impressions, any feedback? Let me check out the chat. Brittany says, laughing out loud, I love it. So that's the lesson, y'all. That is the lesson. And I love you. I love everybody. I invite you to see if you can to write God a poem or just interact. Sing a song with God in mind. If there's a love song, sing it to God as opposed to your romantic partner. Engage with God in new ways. So
I also wanted to mention that there are Gaia documentaries on YouTube for free.
okay, thank you, Justice. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that information.
Also on television, there is Ancient Aliens. Is it? Ancient Aliens on TV.
Okay.
Yes. But I just want to say this was beautiful.
Thank you.
This was beautiful.
Yeah.
As far as I saw a ship once, my daughter sees the triangular one. They show themselves to her twice. My oldest daughter, Sasha.
Wow.
Yeah. So I saw myself and my husband was coming home from Brooklyn. I live in Jersey. So we went to Brooklyn, we were coming back home. And I'm sitting in the car and I'm just looking out at the clouds, you know, and I saw a ship just grazing my thumb. I said, Dave, oh my God, look. It was gone. It was a split second. It was a split second. But I dream of ships a lot.
Wow.
But I had this very vivid dream where it's like the ship took me from my room, from my bedroom, and I'm standing in this ship, and like the ship is made of glass because it is flying, and I can see the cities and everything like that. And I'm standing there, it's just glass. And I'm like, wow, I'm still looking. And there was only glass. And it landed on this, I don't know where, but it landed. A tall, dark guy came and opened the ship for me. I exited the ship. And as I'm walking down this corridor, they're leading me down this corridor. And I'm looking to my right, and there were rooms. And in these rooms were hybrid children. There were children who did not look human. Right? And they took me into this room, and I'm like, why am I here to babysit? I'm like, am I here to babysit? So next thing I know, I am coming down the stairs, and on the stairs were all these beautiful gold and beautiful material. And there were older kids, like teenagers now, just hanging out. And I'm like, why are they leaving all of this material here for me to step on? I have to be walking and all this. This is beautiful material. Why I have to be walking on it to come down the stairs? And I got up. but I dream of ships. I used to a lot.
Wow.
I dream of them a lot.
Wow.
And so there are, and they are willing to show themselves to us when we are ready,
Mm-hmm.
collectively when we are ready, and individually when it is time, they will show themselves, even in our dreams. You know, you can ask them to come to you in your dreams, which will make it easier for you, you know. And yeah, so it's like when you mentioned that they are on a different vibration than us, that's how we kind of see them.
Mm-hmm.
I got this, it's like a fan. You see how the blades of the fan, how it moves, how it spins, you kind of see it unless it stops.
Mm-hmm.
Just think of their vibration as that fan, it moving. You
Right.
cannot see it because it's right. You understand? But this was a beautiful, and the whole story of father,
Mm-hmm.
how I build a relationship with, and I call him father.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who he is to me.
Mm-hmm.
I built a relationship after years of not knowing that I can have a relationship with God, with Father.
Yeah.
You are going to church, but even in church, there's this disconnect.
Right.
You know, you don't have this personal relationship. You're just going to church because your mother and father saying you have to go to church.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You have to get baptized. You have to go to Bible studies, and you have to do all these things. And it's only in my 50s that I said, I said how the whole thing unfolded for me.
Mm-hmm.
It started a relationship with God, and how I picture him in my relationship with him. I always picture I'm a little child, I'm a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm holding his hand, and we are walking. And then I said, Father, this is the universe is our movie theater. So we will sit down in the universe with some popcorn, and we are looking at the vast universe. We are watching planets being destroyed, new planets coming up, stars wishing by. So this is how I sit, and we just sit down, and I picture both of us just enjoying this huge big screen and looking at everything there. So I love to have that fantasy, you understand, about him, and my love for God. My love for God is everything to me.
Yes.
He is everything to me. I am so glad that I know him, that he's love, he's my heart,
Mm-hmm.
my heart. And I am so honored that he comes through me to deliver messages and healing to anyone that needs it. I am truly honored.
Yes. Yeah.
I am truly honored, you know. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Thank you. Thank you. I imagine me holding his hand too as a child. I'm always saying, God, where are you? Hold my hand, hold my hand. Khadija, you're unmuted. Did you have anything to say?
No, I'm just listening, but I did really enjoy the message. I was, every time you were telling parts of the story, I was like, relating it to what I was presuming the larger message was. And, it's like when his parents knows that he is, in this forgetful state and he's trying to make his way back home. It's like, just go get him. And it's like, they're sending messages, you're having experiences, you're having coincidences, and that is what we are experiencing. Like, we are David. And it's like, I found myself rooting for him. So I'm like rooting for all of us. Like, we can get there, and we, every time we're on this call, we are getting there. So I love that. I love when you said, love every part of your being that makes you, like, it's just so empowering, really, to just embrace yourself and to be reminded of that. It's just an empowering, uplifting message. And I'm rooting for David. I'm rooting for all of us.
Yes, yes,
To
right.
remember, yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. When I was doing the story, I was like, God, we doing this. This don't sound corny. And one of my kids was like, is this gonna be corny? So my ego was like, you found it corny. You're like, you know what? I think God really wants to relate his story. And it is us. David, I'm so glad you felt like that, Khadidra. David is us. We are in nations. We are in the land of forgetfulness. We are the unknown, and like David, we are courageous souls.
Yes.
We
Yes.
are courageous souls to venture away from home, to plunge into this realm of the unknown. It takes courage, y'all. It takes courage, and we're here to create and manifest that which we are. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Charmaine and Brittany, did y'all want anything to say? Wait a minute. I think Charmaine put something in the chat. She's talking about alien technology. She says it's being used by our phones. Apple, Android is alien technology. Yes. So I'm glad you brought that up. All extraterrestrial beings are not of love and light, you know. Some do have nefarious intentions, but as long as we are raising our vibration, those beings will not, come interact with us. So we have extraterrestrial origins, many of us. Most people, most beings walking around this planet have extraterrestrial origins. So I want to say that as well, to chip away some of the fear. These are our selves in many cases that are coming to interact with us. They may not look like us, but it's us on another planet. So there's nothing to be afraid of. I'm going to talk more about extraterrestrial interaction and the ways that we have been conditioned to fear extraterrestrial interaction. But for now, research the documentaries, go out at night, look up at the stars, look up at the moon, and speak if and when you're ready. Any high vibrational extraterrestrial beings, I'm available to make contact. Now is the time, y'all. So long that interaction has been held back, but we are transitioning to a higher vibration. Now is the time. And it's exciting. I want to see. And
It is exciting.
Right? It's exciting, right? So
we have to remember that when God said that how we are all one, we are all one. As Donald Walsh said, it's what's the word in the visualization, or is one God, right? And we are all part of God, even the extraterrestrials.
Yes.
Are part of God.
Absolutely.
They're not separate. They're not different.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's because they went through what we are going through.
Yes.
They have passed this.
Yes.
We are now going through ours, right? We have the extraterrestrial that seeded Earth. Seeded Earth in that they brought the plants and the animals, and it took how many thousands of years for this Earth to be what it is right now?
Yeah.
Because it was test and trial and destruction. You understand, for it to be where it is now.
Yeah.
So they have ascended. Now it's our turn. And then it will be our turn to seed a planet. Just imagine where we will be 100 or 200 years from now, you know? So God he has given us
The blueprint.
he has given us the blueprint,
Mhm.
given us the blueprint. We just have to want to do it, want to do the work. And just know that you don't have to go anywhere to have God is right here.
Yep.
You, he is you, he is me. There's no separation. Okay, you can be walking down the street, taking a stroll in the park and have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And what does God sound like? He sounds like you because he is you. He doesn't sound different. He is you, but you will feel that vibration. You will feel that love, and you will know that this is God. This is something different. This feeling is I can't stop smiling.
Yes.
Because I feel him.
Yes.
He's here. So we just have to make that connection. We already connected anyway.
We are.
We already connected anyway.